Africa is at a turning point. With a rapidly growing youth population, we must invest in people to unlock the continent's full potential. This means prioritizing education, health, and job creation as pillars of inclusive and sustainable development. First, we must address the education and skills gap. Across Africa, over 12 million young people enter the labor force each year, yet only a fraction find formal employment. In West and Central Africa, for example, over 6 million youth enter the labor market annually, with just 500,000 formal jobs created. Vocational training and digital skills are essential to bridge this divide. Today, less than 2% of youth participate in technical vocational education and training programs, far below the global average. The World Bank is scaling up support for programs that align training with market need and investing in digital skills that could unlock over 230 million jobs by 2030.
Transparent, predictable regulatory frameworks that attract investment.
Honorable Prime Minister of Japan, Mr.
Themes, peace and stability, economy, and
if we focus on co-creation that builds, creates jobs, and eliminates dependency, for economies to grow and for societies to thrive. Initiative. We also dared to dream of a bright future, accelerate the achievement of the SDGs and Agenda 20.
Cultural exchange, arts, and entrepreneurs to be supported, which is at the core of our strategy. And that is something that will build an inclusion, must be turned to action. That is what TICAD is.
Monsieur João Lourenço, Président.
Your Excellency, TICAD 9 is
TICAD 9 summit outcomes and its action to address growing inequality.
Co-chairs, ladies and gentlemen,
for the purpose of developing future leaders, and humans will be strengthened to develop 150.
Over the years, TICAD has remained faithful to its founding principles of African ownership, inclusivity, openness, and genuine partnership. We commend the government of Japan and the co-organizers for sustaining this unique framework. Kenya deeply values Japan's consistent support in critical sectors: education, health, agriculture, energy, infrastructure, and security. These partnerships have been central to Africa's socio-economic progress. Even amid relentless and overlapping global crises, Africa's economies are among the fastest growing in the world. In 2025, Sub-Saharan Africa's GDP is projected to grow at 4% compared to a global average of 3%. Yet, these impressive numbers have not sufficiently translated into meaningful poverty reduction, substantive employment creation, or enhanced fiscal space for domestic resource mobilization. This is why the theme of TICAD 9, to co-create innovative solutions with Africa, is both timely and fitting. It reminds us that growth must be translated into real impact on people's lives, moving from macroeconomic numbers to grassroots transformation. Resilient, adaptive, and inclusive societies form the foundation of Africa's transformation. The societal pillar challenges us to invest deliberately in people, including their health, education, and their well-being. Only then can Africa unlock its vast potential through holistic human capital development. Africa is richly endowed with natural resources and a youthful population of nearly 400 million, bursting with energy, creativity, and innovation. Yet, systemic social challenges persist. To close this gap, we must champion programs aligned with global, regional, and national priorities, but tailored to build inclusive and resilient societies that leave nobody behind. In Kenya, for example, we are implementing the bottom-up economic transformation agenda anchored on building a fair and inclusive society where every citizen has a stake in our nation's progress. By expanding opportunities, enhancing access to services, and empowering communities at the grassroots, we are bridging divides and ensuring prosperity is shared equitably. Shared prosperity is the tide that lifts all of society. Africa's urgent challenge is to accelerate the pace of inclusive wealth creation, to eliminate poverty, create jobs, and restore dignity. This requires correcting the entrenched imbalance in global trade, where Africa exports raw materials and imports finished goods at a premium, a structure that locks our people out of opportunity and stifles our industrialization aspirations. Partners like Japan can help remedy this skew by investing in local manufacturing and industrialization, supporting local agricultural value chains, and financing renewable energy systems to power industry. Africa has abundant resources, land, minerals, renewable energy, and a young tech-savvy workforce. By adding value to what we produce, whether it is coffee, tea, minerals, textiles, or services, we build industries, create local wealth, and therefore empower our citizens. This is how Africa stops being the world's supplier of unprocessed raw materials and extractives and becomes a global hub of high-value production, innovation, and prosperity. The COVID-19 pandemic exposed the fragility of economies without robust health systems. That is why, over the past year, Kenya has embarked on reforms directed towards attaining universal health coverage by strengthening primary health care, prioritizing prevention, upgrading infrastructure, training personnel, and securing vaccines, diagnostics, and medicines, all funded through locally mobilized resources. In less than a year, over 25 million Kenyans have registered with the Social Health Authority, up from about 8 million under the former scheme. Millions of families can now seek quality medical care without impediment, either due to lack of access or prohibitive costs. Yet these robust health systems demand significant resources to actualize. We welcome Japan's support through contributions to the Global Fund, training facilities, and the Africa Vaccine Manufacturing Accelerator. These interventions must be scaled up to guarantee universal access across Africa. The fourth industrial revolution is reshaping economies. Education and research must therefore form Africa's response, equipping our young people to seize opportunities in artificial intelligence, biotechnology, robotics, and digital innovation. We were told yesterday by the Secretary General of the UN that AI must now mean Africa included. We appreciate collaborative initiatives to promote science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We call for scaling up exchanges under the Africa Business Education Initiative, the Dumpuktu Initiative, the African Youth Program 2025, and joint research linkages between Japan and African countries. Africa contributes barely 4% of global emissions, yet suffers disproportionately from climate change. Addressing this injustice requires equitable climate finance, predictable support for adaptation and mitigation, and urgent implementation. We urge Japan to champion climate justice and advance this agenda at COP30. We welcome Japan's pledge and commitment to support UN reforms, including expanding the Security Council to grant Africa permanent representation as an act of natural justice. The quest for peace in Africa is inseparable from the demand for equity in global finance, both at the security level and at the financial level. We look forward to progress being made under the UN 80 initiative later this year.